Yeah. Hi, I'm the Punk Patriot, and in an effort to reduce my audience to 0 members, I say offensive things that challenge people to think. Let's talk about abortion and see if we can get a few laughs, hey? I mean, why not? Abortion's a funny word, like guacamole. Which, by the way, reminds me of a dead baby joke. I want to say first, I hate people on both sides of this issue. Both sides would require you to give an abortion to your frontal lobe for how many inconsistencies in their arguments you'd have to ignore in order to quell the cognitive dissonance. Let's just start with the language around this issue. Pro-life versus pro-choice. The only side of this argument that's either pro-death or anti-choice is the Terminator robots. And they're both. You don't get a choice. You're going to die. The real issue here is whether or not you think it should be legal for women to abort their pregnancies. Pro-life people drive me up the wall because they're usually Christian and they're usually flag-waving, pro-war, Republican-voting gun nuts who support the death penalty, which makes no goddamn sense. So let me get this straight. Killing babies isn't okay unless they're Iraqi, Afghani, or Pakistani. And the death penalty? Yeah, that totally sounds like Christ's message of forgive and turn the other cheek. What part of forgive don't you assholes understand? Remember when Jesus saved that prostitute from public execution by asking the crowd who among them was without sin? How the fuck do you turn that around so that Jesus is in support of capital punishment? War. Where in the Bible does it say that it's okay to use depleted uranium to kill not only the people of this generation, but the people of generations to come for hundreds of years? And you guys act like you're the most patriotic people out there. You wrap everything in the flag. You have these fat little white babies sitting on top of American flags smirking at you as if they just took a dump. As if shooting doctors was somehow patriotic. Yeah, I'm talking to you, guy who killed Dr. Tiller. How many doctors do you think you have to kill until people realize that killing people's wrong? To exacerbate things, there's a church in Kentucky that announced after Dr. Tiller's death, they're going to have a patriotic service, celebrating the Second Amendment as if it was one of the 10 Commandments. The service is going to be complete with patriotic music, and it's going to be held on the 4th of July. I'm sorry, when did the 4th of July become a Christian holiday? We got Easter, when Jesus raised from the dead, and Christmas, when Jesus was born, and the 4th of July, when Jesus invented America. We're going to have fireworks, or as we call them, Jesus bombs. And so you guys want to make abortions illegal. You know, abortion used to be illegal, and that worked out really well, with women dying left and right of having lacerations on the inside of their wombs from coat hangers and back alley abortions. And besides, you want to make sure these babies are born, but you don't give a shit what conditions they're born into. If you were really Christian, instead of trying to make abortion illegal, you'd be mobilizing to end poverty, so that abortion was less appealing an option. Now that I've offended all the pro-life people, and they're no longer watching, you pro-choice people ought to know you're not going to get off here easy either. Oh shit, I'm talking about you now. This is going to be uncomfortable, right? You guys are usually left-wing, touchy-feely, Democrat voting, agnostic, neo-feminist, anti-war, anti-death penalty, and sometimes vegetarian. Okay, so let me get this straight. When we're at war with somebody, it's not okay to kill people. Or if a person's killed somebody else, it's not okay to kill them. But it is okay to kill somebody if they're really tiny. If you guys are really pro-choice, why don't you guys talk about the people who don't get a choice when it comes to the issue of abortion? Like the child? Anybody ask them? What about the father? He doesn't get a say, and it's equally his child. Right now, I'm sure all you pro-choice people are being like, oh, well, you don't have to carry the child in your body for 9 months. No, but if I want to keep it, I have to support it for 18 years, which is a hell of a lot longer. And I'll have to deal with them when they're a teenager. And besides, it's not a child anyway. It's just a clump of cells, remember? What a bullshit argument that is. Of course it's a clump of cells. I'm a clump of cells. You're a clump of cells. It's a living human being. You're just killing a tiny human being. Get over it. You know that there's too many human beings on the planet already. We don't need any more. You know that. Cowboy up and stick by a philosophically consistent argument. Are you pro-choice and vegetarian? The animals that you aren't eating are also clumps of cells. If you're pro-choice and vegetarian, I've got a special bone to pick with you. Why is it that you're okay with killing tiny human beings, but you're against killing animals to eat their meat? I think if you're going to kill babies, you ought to eat them. Otherwise, they just end up getting diced up and sent to the landfill as medical waste, and that's not eco-friendly. Which, by the way, reminds me of a dead baby joke. You know what, though? Neither side has to worry about any of this if you just keep your pants on until you're ready to raise a kid. Yeah, you too, Bristol Palin. I hope by this point I've really got your dander up on the pro-choice side, because this underlies the essential flaw of the argument on the pro-choice side. You're essentially arguing for the right to overturn the rules of biology. How long have we known that having sex leads to more people? The first contraceptive was invented in ancient Roman times. It was a vaginal plug made of animal dung and straw, textured for nobody's pleasure. It's a known fact of biology that having sex makes more people. I don't understand why people act like it's a miracle when it happens, or act surprised when it happens to them. We've known this as a species for thousands of years. With this knowledge, we can exercise something called responsibility. To assert that you have a right above the laws of biology and physics to have as much sex as you want without ever having to worry about the consequences is just as foolish as asserting that you have the right to speed as fast as you want to in your car without ever getting into an accident. Shit happens. You know the consequences, deal with it. Now, if you're a moral relativist, I can understand you justifying both war and abortion in purely logical terms, so long as it's predicated on the idea that life has no intrinsic value. To assert that life has intrinsic value in one case, but not in another, is philosophically inconsistent. So we need new ideas when it comes to this issue of abortion, otherwise we're never going to make any progress on the issue. Without deviation from the norm, progress is not possible. So says Frank Zappa.